Yeah, Max Muller here. So you're the CEO and founder of Video Editing Experts. And so for any entrepreneur or coach of that matter who want to get more awareness, they can kind of use your strategies, your services to get more awareness on social media to drive more revenue, right?
Yeah, not kind of. They absolutely do. And yeah, we work with tons of people all over the US, as well as Europe, Australia. We're based here in the US. I'm actually in Miami right now. But yeah, we help people all over scale up their brands online to ultimately make money on social media. And we specifically find ourselves working with entrepreneurs. That's honestly who we just connect best with. I'm an entrepreneur myself, started this company, as you said, I founded it. Here's the thing is, there's so many entrepreneurs out there running these products, these services, helping other people. And it started very small, but ended up growing into a massive team of ours. And we're able to help so many other entrepreneurs help all their massive audiences. As you know, there's entrepreneurs out there with millions and millions of followers, even hundreds of thousands, and people just starting from scratch too. And we love
hmm
helping everyone in between.
So I went through your site and it said that in 2 clicks, you kind of automate everything. And essentially you're spoon feeding the entrepreneur or the coach the content that they need to get more awareness. Now, what's the first step in that process? As an entrepreneur or coach, do you have to first start out with the content or do you help them strategize what to say and what to do and how to set up everything?
That's such a good question. Here's the thing is you got to figure out who you're talking to first and foremost. It's who is your audience? And it's so funny. We get on these calls with entrepreneurs. A lot of them know exactly who their target audience is. And it blows my mind when they don't know who exactly you have to understand who your target audience is, who your ideal customer and client is, right? That's step one,
hmm
figuring out, is it, if I'm a realtor, is it people looking for high-end homes or low-end homes? Are they working on a budget or are they balling on like a big ass budget, right? And so I need to speak to those people in certain ways. So first and foremost, figuring out who you're talking to, then implementing a strategy to really connect with those people, not just in the short term, but ultimately in the long term. And then you get into creating that content. And like you said, we help them automate that process too.
Okay. And do they need, for the bill of materials, do they just need simply their phone or a laptop with a camera and they can just start talking? And then once they have that raw footage, they can send it to you guys where you guys do a remix of it, make it binge worthy, and put it on the social media platforms that they want to grow on, right?
Yeah, so you're asking like, do people really need like camera equipment or can they just use their phone, right?
Yeah.
That's a very common thing, and we hear all the time from people. Oh, well, I don't have the camera equipment yet. I don't have a mic. I don't have perfect lighting yet. Here's the thing. I mean, look at the people that you follow. Certainly, you're gonna find like big influencers, big entrepreneurs with amazing camera equipment, amazing quality. But don't forget those who are just pulling up their phone, doing like a selfie. Like look at Gary Vee, right?
hmm
The man has like 4 videographers around him at all times, and every single day he still pulls up his selfie. Why? It's because it works. You have that connection with the viewer. It feels like you're in his like personal bubble. And even someone who has 4 videographers can easily pay for any type of camera equipment. He's still doing it because again, it works. So we highly, highly encourage people to just get started. Just start shooting. Don't wait. Don't hope. Don't wish for anything. Just get after it right away. Start using your phone because again, it works.
hmm So once you get that out of the way, once you find your target audience and you start shooting, they have the raw files. Now they send it to you. And what's the next step? Do you guys have a marketing strategy where do you have to rely on organic reach, or do you kind of use some tools to get more awareness? For example, Facebook ads.
Yeah, good. So are we just kind of posting and seeing what happens organically with the engagement, or do we run ads? Do we have any kind of like back end tools? Here's the
hmm
thing, Andres, is we use a combination of a few things, and I'm going to try to break it down into really just 2, maybe 3 areas. The first thing is having the front end strategy. You have to understand, like, not just I'm going to start hitting record and just hope that this content sticks. You have to have a strategy to achieve your goals with anything, right?
hmm
Same with content. Then when the fulfillment side comes, all they have to do is send us the clips. We turn it into 12 different pieces of content. We even post on their behalf using like the best captions, the best hashtags. They're posting to YouTube. We're using the best tags, using the best like the keyword research inside the description, even like links. So I was just on a call with a client today. He's not only pushing people to like his funnel, but also pushing it to a Facebook group. So then we'll link the Facebook group at the bottom of the
Okay.
description as well. Nice soft call to action. But I think what you're asking more so is like, how do these posts like gain a lot of engagement? Are we running ads to them?
Mm-hmm.
Are they just performing well organically? Both. I think that's really important. If you're just starting and maybe you don't have the ad budget to implement right away, don't worry about it. Focus more on the quality. Focus on the what you're saying, because I mean, you hear this from everyone is, and it rings true. Only put ad spend on things that you know are working, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's only going to add more fuel to the fire, but first you got to get the fire started, and
Yeah.
that's what you got to do organically. And so that's what we put a big emphasis on, is like what you're saying, how you're saying it, and if it's working, triple down on it. Put ad spend behind it, plus create more content like that, because you know it's resonating with your audience.
Mm-hmm. Now, before diving into that, how important is it for the actual person on the camera to really amplify themselves? Because one can be very mellow, laid back, and maybe that content wouldn't be. Of course, you can add some razzle dazzle to the content to make it binge worthy, but if the persona himself or herself isn't, maybe is boring, to put it that way, maybe that won't catch as much attention. So, do you kind of emphasize to him or her to really amplify themselves, or is it really just down to the edits you guys make in the back end?
Yeah, man, these are such good questions. So, like, how much does the person's voice matter? Like, do they need to be this like Hollywood, energetic Gary Vee kind of
Mm-hmm.
guy or girl? Absolutely not. The only reason why I say that is because, by the way, any answer or any type of advice that I give you is not just because a video looks cool or a guy or girl looks cool. We look at hardcore analytics with everything that we do. We track literally everything, because even though making cool video is cool, tracking the numbers holds way more weight to the conversation. And so when it comes down to someone having like an energetic voice, a more mellow voice, a girl being like really outspoken or confident, or just not, maybe being a little bit more quiet, it all works. And here's why. You think about, there's so many different influencers, entrepreneurs, athletes, musicians out there that all connect with their own space. Some grow greater and faster than others, but we're still finding the people who have a more mellow tone, a little bit more relaxed tone, resonate really well and actually grow very quickly within their audiences, because they relate. Not everybody wants to scroll through their feed and just see like loud person after loud person, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, those people who are just being themselves, talking casually, naturally, are ending up being like a nice breath of fresh air, plus providing value. Makes it really easy to follow and subscribe to that person.
For sure. And talking about subscribing, do you ask the person their why? Because of course, as an entrepreneur or influencer, you can just ask or want to have a lot more engagement, right? A lot more feedback, a lot more followers. But for people who are looking for a monetary return, they may have something on their end where they can get some ROI, either that's through a course, something, a product. So before even starting, do you tell them, okay, this is how we are going to integrate our content, our strategy to your backend service to get more revenue?
Yeah. Do we ask people why? Like basically, I think what you're asking is like, do we ask people why,
Like,
like
is
why they're
there,
doing their content?
yeah, like before even growing an audience, before even growing a personal brand, do you think it's important to know why in the first place?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. And I just heard there's a billionaire. He owns many, many different companies. His name's Chamath Palihapitiya. I'm totally butchering that name, but he's super famous, and not just famous. I should scratch that. He makes massive impacts in the world, and he just said it really well. I was listening to a podcast of his while I was working out last night, and he was like, those people who are trying to make just a ridiculous amount of money never make that ridiculous amount of money. And that immediately made me think of all the people that we hear that are like, I want to be Instagram famous. I want to be YouTube famous. Like, I want to get up there to that. If that is all they're focused on, they will never get there. Because why? It's the audience will sniff that out very quickly. This guy's being a sellout. This girl is being a sellout. They're just trying to cash out on YouTube, right? It never
Hmm.
works. When people ask us all the time, they're like, well, I heard that YouTube will pay you for the views, right? And if that's like, again, like you can kind of figure out their why is like, and I'll talk about that in a second, but if they're only focused on making money and just being famous, it literally never works. And we honestly deny those people. We don't work with everyone. That is a very common question. Is like, hey, like, can you work with me? Can you help me with this? Probably not. We don't work with everyone. And that's because we only work with people who are, number one, providing a positive resource to the market. And number two, are totally committed for themselves for their why. And so let me answer your question entirely here is we 100% ask them, why are you doing this? And that's a big thing for us is like, we want to understand not just your short-term goals, like for the end of the year, but we want to figure out what you're ultimately trying to do here, because the better we can understand that, the more we can help you for that long-term play, which content is absolutely a long-term play.
No, yeah, and I think that's very important to think about the long term, because if he or she is kind of faking it till they make it, I don't think they can sustain that for such a long time, even if you have a great service, because they have to put in the back end their part in it, right? And one more thing I need to add here is that you guys actually give out your strategy on the site, so you can actually click on it and learn the strategies. But of course, one of the main benefits or one of the main incentives to work with you guys is that you're saving time. Entrepreneurs and coaches are too busy to post, content, work on their personal brand and on their side hustles or businesses. So you guys really just save time. But you guys do give that
time is
content out there.
everything. Time is everything, and especially for entrepreneurs. Like we work with business owners, entrepreneurs, and the biggest thing, we could talk about making them money. Like we could talk about making them 50,000, 150,000. Which, by the way, we have clients who are doing 6 figures straight up just from their YouTube, and that's common. That's pretty standard. And here's I know that sounds totally crazy to some people, but trust me, it is working, and we work with tons of people that are doing that. Oh shit, what was your question? I just got so fired up on that. Oh, it was the strategy.
Yeah, because you guys actually give it out, but they don't have to, even though it's a great resource, their main incentive to work with you guys is that they're saving time. Yeah.
And so working and saving time for people is huge, right? We could talk about you making all the money in the world, but that time is money. Time is everything. Warren Buffett's greatest investment is not all the money that he's poured into companies. It's his time. We all have 24 hours. It's how you spend those 24 hours. Warren Buffett has the same amount that I do and that you do as well. And so what we do is we take that time and we make it literally automated for them. Like Andres, you shoot the video, or John, or whoever is watching this or listening to this, you shoot that video, record your podcast, you send it to us, and if you want to, you don't even have to look at that video again, because we literally take care of it from head to toe, start to finish, posting on all your platforms for you, gaining the most amount of awareness. And as we've seen time and time again with too many people in a great way, is the more awareness you have, the more revenue you have, because the more eyeballs are on your product or service.
For sure. And when you guys have that content and you edit it through Adobe Premiere, do you guys do a lot of A/B testing to see what is resonating with the audience?
Absolutely. Honestly, everything that we do is A/B testing, trying to figure out what is working and what's not working. And that's the cool thing about our position. We work with tons of different clients in many different niches, everything from fitness coaches to entrepreneur coaches to incubators to advertising agencies, everyone of the sort. And so we're able to see, what's working and what's not across many different industries, e-com, everything. And so now we're like, okay, we understand what's working, what's not working, but what about what is working? What's working the best? And how can we triple down on that? Okay, what about off of these 3, what's working the best? Wait a second, these colors aren't resonating. And it's not always about color. A lot of the times it's about what people are saying. And so that's a big thing that we focus on is, again, we could talk about like the editing being on point, the colors and everything, but what really comes down to it is like honestly, the 3 things that matter most in your video. Number 1, by far, is what you're saying and how you're saying it in the video. How you start gaining attention right in the beginning and holding that attention all the way through. And then the second, I would say the second and third thing kind of battle for second place. That's going to be really the title of your video, like the overall concept of it and how it's positioned. Like when you're scrolling through Instagram, what's the title on top say, right? When you're on YouTube, what does the title on the bottom say? And then number 3 is your thumbnail as well. Thumbnails are huge. And so why are people going to click on your video compared to the next guy's video or girl's video?
So yeah, I was going to ask you, how important is it from your experience as well with, of course, the colors, the fonts, but more specifically captions? Is that really a must-have in every single video nowadays?
Good. So captions, how important are captions? Captions are important because it's kind of the 1-2 punch, right? What happens a lot of the times is we see consumers, viewers, they'll watch a video. They might look at a photo, a graphic, but they may not like it right away or engage on it right away. But what will make them engage on it is the caption. How good are you with your copywriting? So that's actually a whole department that we have within our team, is having like copywriters on board, because again, we're trying to save the entrepreneur time. So we're handling the video editing, the graphic design, the social media posting, plus the captions with the best copywriters. And so are captions important? Absolutely. It's just, don't make that your number one thing. Make it that, again, that 1-2 punch to really bring it home, you know? So again, let me just use an example. I'm going to call this guy who's one of our clients, I'm just going to call him Tim. Tim is creating content for his YouTube channel, right? But on his description of the YouTube, like, he knows that, you know, the description is an area that he could write a quick word on, or he could elaborate very much in depth. Well, Tim does a really great job, and he actually, he makes a shit ton of money from his YouTube channel because he does such a good job with his descriptions, making it kind of a flow, hooking people in at the top with like what the video is about, then getting into a little bit more about him and his company. And then at the end, it's just a super soft call to action that just brings people to a Facebook group. And that Facebook group is really converting well for him. So it's different. Instead of saying like, hey, visit my website and do this, a Facebook group is a little bit softer. So people don't, they're not like turned off by that link and that call to action. They're actually like, oh yeah, I want to join this network of people similar to me. And then all of a sudden they get in, he starts contacting them personally, or maybe one of his team members do, and then boom, they get to close on them. And it all started with gaining that, number one, knowing who Tim is in the first place by the YouTube video. People like him because they watched the full YouTube video and they read through the whole thing. And they ultimately trusted him enough to get into the Facebook group and close. And that's really it.
Now, you said you can create content for any platform you want, including TikTok, LinkedIn. Is it a good idea to put everything on blast, or to focus on a few platforms to make sure where your audience is, not who they are, but where they are, so they can get that conversion?
Yeah, you got to figure out where your people are, right? You're doing podcasts, right? And you know, here's the thing: there's tons of podcasts on Spotify, Apple Music, but there's also a lot on Instagram, of course. That's an obvious one. But what about LinkedIn? What about taking the concepts that you talk about here, which are always about business, and plugging that into LinkedIn? Not because you're trying to attract podcasters, but you're trying to attract entrepreneurs. And whoever's listening to this or watching this, think about who you're trying to attract and where they're hanging out. And LinkedIn is just a really underutilized platform right now that our clients are seeing crazy success with, because of how short your content can be and how to the point it is, and better yet, the experience on LinkedIn. People are going on there to, number one, get market updates, figure out what's happening in their industry, which you can provide. And number two, to network with other professionals, which you are. So go out there, provide that update, provide that market update, and network with them. Be that solution.
What are some other low-key platforms that no one really talks about? Of course, everyone talks about TikTok, Gary Vee with LinkedIn, that with organic reach, Facebook ads. But what are some other platforms that are really low-key that people should really, take advantage of to gain more audience or awareness for their personal brand?
This is going to be a total curveball. Like, what are other platforms that people should be using or taking a look at? Not Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. Those are all obvious. I'm going to say something totally off the cuff that probably nobody else really thinks about, but they freaking should. It's like, they get so excited about content. They get so excited about growing this brand. But what about your circle, the people that know you and have always known you? Those are going to be some of your best followers and fans ever. And if you can come at them and be like, hey, listen, Uncle John, like, listen, I'm actually exploding my company right now, and I'd love for you to take a look at this. I know that you're kind of interested in podcasts, or for you, Andres, maybe you say like, hey, I just did an interview with this guy about like basketball coaching. I don't know. And so, Uncle John, I know that you're interested in that. Give it a look and let me know what you think. All of a sudden, he comes on for like basketball coaching or whatever his interest is. And he stays because, number one, he knows you. He's known you for a long time. And now you have a better relationship with him. You've always had some kind of friendship or family relation with him, but now you're really making that a stronger relationship. And people just totally negate that, that inner circle that has always known you and that wants to see you succeed. Maybe you guys don't have the greatest contact because of family reasons or friendships just kind of going astray, but rekindle those. Find those areas to like really bring in those followers that know you, that like you and trust you, because those, I'm telling you, will turn into your all-time favorite fans that comment on everything, respond to all your stories, do everything of the sort. So use your inner circle.
Yeah, I was gonna guess Pinterest, but it makes sense because if you have, some core fans, I think I never read the book, but I heard the concept, 1,000 true fans. If you have people around you, friends and family, they're going to support you. And so if you have those true fans, you know, that word of mouth, I think the bond is going to be much stronger.
And now let me say this. A lot of people might hear that and be like, okay, well, your friends and family aren't going to buy from you. That's a common thing. You might be right on the initial front, but what always happens is, think about this. If your friends and your family that absolutely love you and love your content, well, you get them to, they're going to be engaging, they're going to be posting, and the more engagement that you have, the more legit that you seem for that potential client. And that's super important, right? So the more legit that you can look, the more engagement that you have, asking your close friends like, hey, comment on this. I'd love to hear your things, or honestly, just support me for this. Like, I'll support you, like give a little trade there, because it's ultimately going to help that potential client come on board, see who you are and be like, oh yeah, this guy or girl's legit. I'm going to reach out to them, or just follow them. And then a few weeks later, boom, you got yourself a client.
So you told me before we even started this podcast that your team is growing. And so with all these insights, across different platforms to see what's working, what's not, obviously, do you plan on literally creating a lot of content across these platforms so you can also get more clientele?
That's the ultimate goal, to be frank, is like, so selfishly, we are creating content, but in the best selfish way possible.
Yeah, because you have the data.
Here's the thing, right? Because it's like, I know, and here's the thing is like, as an entrepreneur, this is we're pushing all like the bad people out when we say like the schemers and the people just ripping people off, like they can go screw themselves anyways. I'm talking about the true entrepreneurs that are adding value to the market. You know that what you have is positive and it's good. It will help people, right? Find a new home, save money, make money. Well, here's the thing is, you want to make content to gain more awareness so that you can help more people. And of course, you're going to get more money along the way. You should. You're providing value. So get that value back.
No, for sure. For sure. I think if you provide value, I always believe that nowadays you got to provide value and entertainment, information and entertainment. Those are the two best forms of value. Now, but just to ask the question though, you are implementing those strategies, those insights, so that you guys can grow too, right?
Oh, for us, for our own company.
Yeah, for your own company.
Oh, our company, yeah, we are absolutely creating our own content. In fact, it's been funny going into this new year as we shoot this in January. We have some big things planned, and I actually had to take a full step back from our content because, to be totally honest with you, Andre, and like everybody else watching this, is I did not like the way that we were shooting content. To be honest, like if you look at some of our old content, I was sitting behind a desk, I was just kind of blabbering off about like a tutorial of how to achieve this in 30 seconds or 13 minutes or whatever the hell it was. And it just wasn't making me happy. And it was really, it was just totally off-putting. So I did something about it. I took a step back. I discussed this with my team. I was like, we got to figure out a way to be more relatable, just be more real with people. There's so many other like Me Too people out there sitting behind a desk saying like, here's your tutorial on how to do this. Add the Max factor. Add the Andres factor, add the John or Sally factor, whoever you are watching this, like add your personality, because that's going to make you stick out than the rest. And so be creative with your camera angles, be creative with the way that you're presenting your content. Be funny. If you're funny, really be funny. If you're nerdy, bring the analytics, bring the tactics, tell people how to automate things, tell people how to do the shortcuts, right? And make it, like you said, bring that information and try to make it entertaining as well. If you can really do that, you're going to stick out.
And so for a solopreneur, maybe they can't get on your services just yet, right? Maybe one day down the line, once they get more revenue or they can reinvest in their business, they can. But for a solopreneur, what's the best way to grow their personal brand? Should they focus on the quality or just the quantity of content they put out on social media?
Yeah, so you're asking like for a solopreneur, what's the best way to get started? Quality or quantity, and maybe even like editing and stuff too. Maybe you can't afford to hire our services just yet. The thing is really to just pull the curtain back. That's what you initially you have to do. Don't come at it like you're the expert. Come at it like you're a practitioner, because that's what you really should be. You should be practicing in the market and judging things, right? And come at it in that aspect. People are just going to immediately honestly love you, because you're not going to be like this other guru who's just preaching these perfect scenarios. And so what you can do as a solopreneur is then take this content that is just straight from your heart and really relate to people on an individual basis. If you don't have a large following, connect with people hardcore and build up those true fans that will be with you the next 5, 10, 15 years, right?
For sure, for sure.
And then as far as like creating the content goes, we all know that you need to be in the places where your audience is. Well, depending on, what your industry is, that they're not just on Instagram, they're not just on LinkedIn, they're not just on YouTube, right? So you want to like post to different platforms. A lot of people will say just focus on one, and then and then like grow that up and then switch to another. We've tried this before. The latter of the two, which is going to be using the other platforms, is by far the best thing to do, because your audience is everywhere, and you can use what's called cross marketing to boost the other one. So we might post to our YouTube, but then take like a small sliver of that and post it to our Instagram, maybe post it to our Reels, and then drive that traffic to our YouTube. It's all about driving traffic, right? And so if you can do that, you have more awareness and you're in a better position.
Yeah, and just to like close that out, so many entrepreneurs, content creators on TikTok, they really blow up there, and then their Instagram. Luckily on TikTok, they can have that link to their YouTube or Instagram, and that gets blown up. And then from there, they can grow their Twitter, right? So I think it's really important to focus on the platform that really gets you that growth, and then you can be on different channels.
That's a really good point right there, because TikTokers, people who are blowing up on TikTok need to understand this. Is when you're blowing up on TikTok, you need to be aware of your call to actions at the end of the video if you're doing anything at all. And honestly, no matter if you're a TikToker blowing up there, or if you're on Instagram, or if you're on LinkedIn blowing up there, it's really important to understand which platform you're on and the call to actions that are acceptable for that specific platform. And what I mean by that, just to give an example, is if you're using TikTok, people don't want to see call to actions at the end of the video. They just want to consume the next one. So you need to be very careful at what your frequency is, how often you're doing a call to action. For LinkedIn, on the other hand, because a lot of people watching this are probably business owners, maybe entrepreneurs, they might be posting to their LinkedIn, where you could have probably more call to actions more frequently. But what's important is to then make it the right type of call to action. Don't be like, book a time to speak with me, or check out our website to find out more. Nobody's going to freaking do that. But what they will do is, let's say you say, download this free PDF to learn the 3 steps to make X amount of money in 30 days. You're going to get a lot of people that download that free PDF. And all of a sudden you gain their contact info, and they go and download that free PDF, and boom, you got yourself a contact. And now you can reach out to them and start the conversation.
Now, but do you guys also create content where maybe that first video isn't a call to action, isn't a sell pitch, but rather you create content and then you retarget those people too, Is that like the last question here? But do you also implement that strategy? Because of course you don't want to be too salesy in the first encounter of a new audience, a new person.
So you're asking, like, should we retarget people after we get their contact info?
Yeah.
If you have the ad spend to do it, 110%. Okay. Absolutely. You need to, because if you're not, you're just leaving the most fruitful money like on the table. Like it's literally right there in front of you. And for literally a couple bucks, like even if you just run it for like $1 or $2 of retargeting, which if anybody doesn't know what that is, retargeting is basically people who have already landed on your page or have consumed your content in one way or another. You can retarget to those people, and only those people who have contacted your page, for a very small amount of money. Literally $2 can get you a new client. Imagine spending $2 and you got a new client. You probably do that over and over again.
Yeah.
Probably spend $200 and just get as many clients as you can. And that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. And some people may argue you have to pay to play. But Max, if people want to find you, hit you up, know more about how to edit videos, know about video editing experts, where can they check you out?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to find us. Like, no hard call to action here. If you want to learn more about the V team, video editing experts, and how we create just a massive amount of content for people, then Google us. Find us on Instagram. Find us on YouTube. Find us wherever you like to consume content, because we are there. And man, it's just been an absolute pleasure being on here. And man, I can't thank you. By the way, you are so talented. These questions have been phenomenal.
Oh, no, I appreciate it, man. And yeah, I mean, there's still so much to talk about, but of course, I want to be respectful of your time. I do think that you did provide a lot of gems, because nowadays people want to create personal brands, And just most importantly, don't make a personal brand just for clout, but there has to be a reason. There has to be an end result, you know?
And let me go off of that right there. Is you have a talent, you have something to give, even if it's small. That small thing that you give to the world is going to mean the world to somebody else. And so provide that small little thing. Like be that person who's just giving. And all of a
Hmm.
sudden you might just find yourself with a pretty awesome business like I've developed.
For sure. And one more thing, that's why I think TikTok might be the best platform, because everyone on that platform is pretty young and they don't know everything. But if you're more of a experienced sort of person with more knowledge, that little bit of knowledge can, like you said, change someone's perspective and, be a fan of yours. So
Without a
Max,
doubt.
it was definitely a pleasure. I really do appreciate it.
My man, if you're ever in Miami, please come down and say what's up.
We'll do, man. We'll do. All right.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so I was just saying, like, number one is your content, and number two is how you reach out to people. Feel free to use this. What's really important is with your content, try to keep a theme going. So you think about your favorite people to follow online, they're pretty consistent with the type of content. And let's say there's a guy named Brad Lee. Do you know who Brad Lee is on Instagram?
What does he do? It sounds very familiar.
He's like a big entrepreneur. He runs a pretty big agency, and
It rings a bell. It rings a
anyways,
bell.
yeah, you'll see him online. The thing is about him, he's very consistent in what he does, and it allows you to like anticipate the next one a little bit. You know, it's going to be similar, but it's definitely going to be different too. And so what I'm thinking is like, if you have a conversation about like content with me, then you might want to have your next post be about like funnels with the next person, so that it kind of like ebb and
Oh, I see.
flows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you have a lot of this content, think about the experience of your viewers.
Yeah, with me, I have tons of content across like different industries, down to real estate, e-commerce, social media marketing, branding.
Yep.
So I could kind of formulate a story in that sort of sense, but it's very all over the place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's going to be different, of course, but try to find the similarities in one, and feel free to like add a little thing at the end saying like, stay tuned for the next post where we talk about finance, or where we
Okay.
talk about like startup businesses creating content, or startup businesses doing finance, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe I could like restructure everything in terms of like when I interview 10 people, say, or
Mhm.
7 people for 1 week, maybe they can be within the same industry, so it can all connect, right? Not just have totally different industries.
Be careful doing that. I think that's a good idea. I think the best idea is to find different industries that have some type of overlay.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for example, like one of my clients comes to mind. His name's Jeff Secondary. He's like a finance guy. He's known for like credit, and he's big in the space, big following. He also has built a very good brand for himself. So it'd be kind of good for you to like ask him like, hey, what has your brand done for you at this point? And then all of a sudden, like it's a good transition from me talking about content into branding, and then into finance, and then from finance into ecom, and then ecom into, see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And another thing here is that I think as a podcaster, one has to grow their personal brand. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of a shy guy. Like for podcasting is pretty easy, but making posts about myself on my personal brand, I get kind of iffy about, right? But if you look at, for example, like Joe Rogan or the girl from Call Her Daddy, huge
Yeah,
persona, even Gary Vee, any
yeah.
podcaster, Pat Flynn, to some extent, I do believe that they need a personal brand. And as introverted as I am, I think I do need to work on that as well to really help the podcast and whatever I'm doing.
You bring up good people who are notably loud, and typically as humans we're good at looking at what other people have that we don't have. You always want what you can't have, right?
Mm.
If I'm, to be honest, I'm a pretty like outgoing guy, and like I have a loud voice, and like that's just naturally who I am. And there's times where I'm like, damn, I wish I was like that chill dude. Like I can be chill sometimes, but like I'm just naturally energetic. I can't really help myself.
Mm-hmm.
But then the same thing with you is like, of course you're going to look at the people that are different than you. You're going to look at the person who's super charismatic, because that's just not you. And
Yeah.
I guess you could have that, but you honestly really can't, because you need to be true to yourself. And so one person I do want to mention to you is Lewis Howes, who does phenomenal interviews. Do you know who Lewis Howes is?
Sounds very familiar. I was gonna say maybe Nate O'Brien too, the YouTuber who's very,
Oh,
very introverted, but
yep.
he, he has tons of fans.
Yep. Here, Lewis
I can
House.
look him. Oh,
Yeah, check him out. He's super famous. And he's pretty chill. Like he's very introverted.
yeah, that's the last thing I want, man. I don't want to be someone else. I tried that before on TikTok. I was like so cringy. I look back at myself like this is not me, and I just want to be myself and of course provide value. But like you said, the most important thing is the value, and from there, I guess being authentic. Point is I want to be 100% authentic and not be someone else, like you said.
Yeah. Here's the thing. All right. So focus on the ebb and flow, like the ebb and flow of your content, how people are consuming it over time, because you have so much. You're in a perfect position to use it. Also think about you don't need to be an outrovert, like you don't extrovert. Be yourself. And I think what would be really nice to see is more personal content on your story, on some of your reels. Maybe do like a behind the scenes. I would do like more hype, like when you're like, hey, I'm about to do an interview with Max. Like, what are some of the questions that you want answered? Right? Like, put hype.
Yeah.
Like coming up to the interviews. It's honestly gonna hype me up and the next guy that you have or girl that you have online. It's also going to hype up the viewer so that they can have their questions answered, which is perfect for your audience. And it's going to allow them to like look forward to that post too. And then the last thing that I wanted to bring up to you is how you're reaching out to people. I think you could because when I responded to you, it's really funny. I looked at your profile and a ton of people on your page are my clients. like a lot. And then it made me think about the type of messaging that you're doing. And here, let me just pull it up. I want to be like super tactical with you right now.
Okay. Dope.
You got time?
No, yeah, I thought you didn't have time.
Honestly, you caught me at a good time because I did have a team meeting that was supposed to be after this, but it got rescheduled to earlier today. All right, hold on. I'm trying to find
Nah, because for the past week, I think I was messing up where I was posting too much content on Instagram, and I was like, you know what? Why did I release the pedal on TikTok? So I'm trying to focus more of my work on TikTok and have more static content on Instagram. Because I didn't want to. At some point, I was literally posting the same content on TikTok as to Instagram, and I was like, if anyone goes to my Instagram, then there's literally no difference. There's no incentive to follow me because there's the same content.
It's the same. It's the same.
I really messed up.
Shorten it up. Here's the thing. If you have an Instagram and you're looking to grow on TikTok as well, shorten up your content, make it like crazy short, the biggest tease in the world, and then drive them to your thing and add different graphics. It's got to be a different visual experience on TikTok. It has to be. It has to be more like icons popping up and
making
cool stuff, right? You have to make it super native, like it was born there, but really it was born elsewhere. And by the way, it was born here, not on Instagram or TikTok. It was born here. So that's the cool thing is now that you have the blank canvas, you can just paint the picture however you want, depending on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever.
No, yeah, that's what I've been doing.
That's a golden nugget right there.
No, because what I've been doing is that, of course, on Instagram, well, the thumbnail is 1080 by 1080. And of course, if it goes to IGTV, it's 1080 by 1960, I think. Point is, on TikTok, it's 1080 by 1960. And so I just blew up the whole picture so the person can be kind of like the whole face. Because before, when I posted from Instagram to TikTok, it would just show a little real estate on the person and everything else will be blank.
Gotcha.
It's like, doesn't look too appealing. And of course, I need to add these emojis and all these little GIFs that TikTok has to offer and whatnot. So that can definitely help.
Yeah. Let me show you, because I only have a few more minutes here, but I want to show you the message that you originally sent to me and my thoughts on improving this. Because here's the thing is like a lot of people that are shooting content, honestly, this should totally be a part of the podcast too. Here's the thing is like a lot of people creating content are doing outreach too. They're trying to find, like if I'm an ads agency, like helping realtors, then I'm going to reach out to realtors on Instagram or on Facebook or wherever. And I need to make sure that my profile looks good. So I'm going to create content and then I'm going to reach out to them. Right. So what do you do when you reach out to someone? Well, you want to basically give them the freaking farm. You want to give them absolutely everything. And so just looking at the message that you sent to me, on Instagram here is, what's good, Maxwell? ? New paragraph. Would love to have you on our podcast to talk about how entrepreneurs can scale their revenue by leveraging social media. Sounds like you got that from our website. Good job. Or my bio. And then you say new paragraph. Would you be down? ? New paragraph. Andres. I liked this. I think you could have added more context. First off, I liked how you came at it with a really personal first sentence. What's good? Like, what's good, Maxwell? For a lot of messages that we do, we start with howdy. Like, howdy, John. Howdy, Andres. Like, it totally sticks out. Everyone else is saying, hi, John. Hello.
Yeah. Or just hey.
Right. Hey. What's good is really good to start. But then it's like, would love to have you on our podcast. I like how you said our podcast. It makes you seem legit. To talk about how entrepreneurs can scale their revenue by leveraging social media. Use something straight out of our textbook. So good on you for that. I think you could have added one more sentence before saying, would you be down? By saying, I've worked with X amount of people. Like if the number is important, then list the number of people, or write like maybe one or two really notable names that people have. Maybe stalk me and figure out who I follow, and if I follow some people that you've interviewed, right? Or just do your most notable people, like John Jones with 1.2 million, or Sarah James with 120,000, right? Give context. And then all of a sudden it's like, I've interviewed, John Jones and Sarah James, who have, over millions of followers or hundreds of thousands themselves. Would love to have you on for 20, 30 minutes. Let me know. Would you be down? I like how you started with what's good and would you be down? Those are really personal.
Yeah, that's the way I talk, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And that's like, you got it. Again, it's about being Andres. It's not about being the robot. You got to be you. So that's a good message. Use that more detail in the customization to make your organic outreach, like these personalized messages, stand out and convert, because you're going to get way better people and you're going to get them that much faster, instead of the back and forth about me saying like, number one, the topics, tell me about the topics you want to hit. How long is the podcast? Where and who will see it? Right? Maybe that's another advantage of yours. You have a big audience, or you're really good at creating topics, or it's a short podcast, or it's a long podcast. Be upfront about that.
Yeah, that was my main concern, like posting a large message, being spammy. So that's the thing. I was kind of like iffy about that.
I think just one more sentence could include that information and give better context to convert people.
Sounds good. Damn, Max, you gave me mad value right there. I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, man. For sure, man.
Yes, sir.
So
I appreciate you.
So I'll send you the files right over then, all right?
Sounds good. I'll look for them in my email. To be real, I'm gonna I got some things going on right after this, but I'm gonna get to that this weekend, send it over to the team most likely tomorrow, and then we'll get it back in maybe like 2 days, something like that.
Nah, man, you don't have to give me what you just gave me right now is more than enough, like what you just said. So I'm happy. All right.
Yeah. Anyways. My man, I mean it. If you ever make it down to Miami, happy to connect. If you ever see, like, I have mutual friends with someone, feel free to connect. The reason why I'm even doing this is because, honestly, you're legit. You're starting, but I can just, I work with a million people like you, and you got it going on. Now you just need to be kind of like, put the rocket fuels on and just take off. So keep asking good questions. Keep being like just super curious. Last thing that's just kind of catching my eye right now is when you were leaning forward, it looks like the Panthers ears were your ears.
Yeah.
I'm just playing, man.
But, I had to have it there. It's just a blank wall. So
it's a sick ass painting. I was just thinking, like, if there was a Panther,
it's a canvas. It's a canvas,
like,
yeah.
Oh, a canvas.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, not canvas, but tapestry. Sorry.
Nice. Anyways, It's been a pleasure, my man. I'm gonna look forward to that content, and I'll send it over to you thereafter.
For sure, man. Have a good week.